Welcome to DoubleDM, the TTRPG talk show where we talk about every topic that is even remotely adjacent to tabletop role-playing games. This week, we have an episode on metagaming for you. By the title of this episode, you can already guess our stance on metagaming. In this episode, you will find the discussion all around what metagaming is, how it isn't as bad as people make it out to be, and even how it can actually enhance your gaming experience. Oh yes, I know. Yes, all of that and a lot more is in this episode, filled with advice on handling metagaming at your table. So sit back, relax, grab a drink, and let's chat about making your TTRPGs better with metagaming. For more information, see the timestamps in the description.
And with that, welcome to episode 87 of DoubleDM podcast. With me, as per usual, is my lovely co-host, Emil. And I am Niels. So, how are you, Emil? How are you
am doing great today.
Yeah.
I've been having a great time so far. I've had to wake up early, which was very fun because yesterday at 10 p.m. German time, the League of Legends World Championship started in Mexico City.
Mm-hmm.
So I stayed up, obviously, to watch some games. And yeah, I also had an appointment in the citizens' offices here in Berlin to actually change my place of residence, because you need to do that in Germany.
Bureaucracy is fun.
Yeah, and I had that appointment booked early in the morning, so I could go early in the morning and then come back and then enjoy my rest of my day. But I didn't realize that, obviously, I would stay up to 2 a.m., so I only have, I'm running on 3 hours of sleep. No coffee, no anything, just
condolences.
Pure spite for the world and everything, but it's made me very very funny.
you don't say.
I've been having a great time so far today.
Yeah, the pre-recording shenanigans were, let's say, interesting to say the least.
So yeah, that was my Friday. Unfortunately, not D&D, but TTRPGs yesterday was cancelled. Sickness and not feeling well generally made us realize, let's take another week off and see how it goes next week. So I've been very sparsely when it comes to TTRPG sessions this week. How about you?
I actually had 2 sessions. First, obviously, our amazing Titan's Call recording. That was slightly traumatizing, but amazing at the same time. Amazingly traumatizing? Yeah, maybe. We will see where it goes.
It was great.
It most definitely, yes. And the day after, I had a one-shot from a first-time DM, and it was very, very fun. We started at 12, and then I think it took about 5 to 6 hours. And it was a lot of roleplay, a lot of fun interactions, and a lot of shenanigans. And he did a good job. I played an Kenra Abjuration Wizard. Yeah, it was slightly chaotic. Not in the classic alignment sense, but very just shenanigan-focused. Let's say that. And cocky and shenanigan-focused is an interesting combo. When you enter a room with 3 of your enemies that you know were enemies but went in anyways. Just head first and try to talk to them, and then try to threaten us. And the one who tried to threaten us, I just cast Hold Person on him, and he was paralyzed for the duration. It was a lot of fun to see how he suddenly you better get out or we're gonna kill and just stammered about. And his 2 other dudes just looked at him and were like, "You okay, mate? You have a stroke?" And then combat, and then death.
And then combat, death, destruction.
Exactly.
Nice.
So all the good parts.
Okay. Anything coming up for you on session-wise?
Yeah, on the 3rd of October, there is our Curse of Strahd session, or our Curse of Strahd campaign is returning finally after a long hiatus.
Nice.
And then the whole of October, every Thursday, is planned to have some sort of D&D session. And my campaign and the campaign I am playing in changing every week.
Okay.
So every 2 weeks, IDM and the other two.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. My next session is on Tuesday, the 4th of October. It's the Tyranny of Dragons game. It's the game where my players are currently willing to or going to talk to the open lord or open lady rather of Waterdeep to discuss the prisoner that the lords and ladies took or that Waterdeep has that the players have interest with. It's about an attack on Neverwinter by dragons, by cultists, by a lot of things. And yeah, gonna be very cool. Gonna be a fun time, I think.
Is it the prisoner they have to get to first before the cult gets to it first? No.
Yeah.
That situation. Amazing.
That situation.
Cool.
But I can say they will get there before the cult does because they've rolled very well in their persuasion check of let us talk to the prisoner, please. And yeah, that's why they definitely will get there first. Just depends how much time they get. Maybe. We will see. Depends on what they do. So yeah, that's kind of my week. And then I also have next Sunday a session of my Phantoms of Chaos game where my players are gonna be attending a masquerade ball and yeah, basically just gonna have to engage with high society, small talk, high society people while trying to track down a thief.
Okay, quick
who
question.
Can hide very well in these sort of social interactions.
Or are any of your characters in that Phantoms of Chaos group equipped to know how to handle a high society social environment? If not, it will be hilarious.
Let's check. We have an artificer that was raised by gnomes and dwarves and now goes to an academy far upstate, but is very much... I don't want to be insultive to the player, but I just think that her character is very much a farm girl mechanic. Very much a curious farm girl mechanic type of deal. We have another academic, Eldritch Knight Fighter, and that's a very cool concept because his parents were one of them was an academic mage and the other one was a skilled fighter, or is a skilled fighter.
Ooh, cool.
He basically got both worlds in him, and so he is a very much academic bookworm, but also can fight, but he distinguishes between the two entirely. So he also isn't really equipped for these high society gatherings because next to studying and training, he doesn't have any time left to engage in society. We have
that's a cool thing.
A monk from a monastery that he only left like 2 months ago, so he doesn't know the world at all because he spent his whole life in the monastery. So obviously he also doesn't really have any way to engage in social interactions in high society. But the fun thing is in his monastery, he is currently on his path to enlightenment, basically, right? Very much simple monk stories, you could say, but he has 5 quests to do, or five tasks that are kind of like find a way without violence, right? Do you think you can find ways without violence, right? Better yourself as a person and as a fighter and all of that stuff. So finding a way without violence is going to be good. So he's going to focus on trying to not initiate any combat whatsoever at this ball, to hopefully find a way without violence, to solve that part of his quest, to be ready to ascend to whatever other status he wants to have. And the 4th and final member of that group is Paladin, that once was the protector of a princess.
Okay.
He knows the basics of being at these balls, but only basically engaging with the other guards of other princesses or other noble people. He isn't really part of the noble family, right? He's only part of this. He knows the basics. I know which fork to use when eating, but I'm never invited to the table. Why should I do small talk?
Yeah, but he knows how, or can probably read the room the best from all of these. Yeah. I imagine this will be hilarious.
And the stage is basically gonna be this very big ball house in the city, I just love this creation. I really love this creation because it's a ball house. It has a big ballroom, it has dining rooms and stuff like that, but it also has conference rooms and lounges. And there are so many cool secrets attached to it. I know some of my players might be listening to this, and this will all go out before we even get to that part of the adventure. So I'm not gonna spoil it too much, but there are gonna be secrets in that house that could be found out, at least that they are there, if the players do the right investigation before going to the party. But that depends on what they do. But there are secrets. There are, I can say, secret rooms, secret doorways, secret tunnels, and stuff like that. The reason for that is very cool, but I can't spoil it. That would tell my players too much.
Okay, but amazing.
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear more.
I will tell you the next time we play after that. So probably in 2 weeks.
Perfect.
So I don't have anything else to talk about. So we can just jump into our episode on metagaming and why metagaming isn't bad. Hey, dear listener, we arrived at this episode's mid-roll. I don't want to keep you too long in this break from the usual program, but podcasting overlords demand that I ask you to rate and review our show to help us expand our reach and get new listeners. But also with more reviews and ratings comes the benefit of us getting a better feel for what you like and dislike about the show, allowing us to improve our show to the next level just for you guys. And hey, if you really like the show, then recommend us to your friends so we can share our content with them and help them with whatever dungeon master dilemma or player problems they are having right now. I know you hear this all of the time, but really doing so helps shows like ours and any other podcaster, especially indie podcasters, out immensely in creating the best content possible. So again, rate, review, tell a friend or whatever works for you. If you are feeling super generous today, you can check out our Ko-Fi and donate a few bucks towards upgrading the show with new microphones, editing software, and studio surroundings. No pressure at all though, this is just if you feel like you want to help out. Lastly, I also want to tell you guys about our social media channels and that you can follow us on especially Twitter or Instagram to stay up to date with the show and get a whole slew of other content like memes, tips, and general shitposts about TTRPGs and the TTRPG industry or community. Thank you guys so much for your constant support of our show, and we hope we can continue creating amazing content for you guys well into the future. Oh, one last thing. If you have a TTRPG product you want to advertise on our show, contact us about affordable ad space on DoubleDM episodes, and we also have promo swap spaces available for other podcasters and shows. And with that, I have an advertisement for you, and after that, it's right back to the show. Do you want a lightweight, easy to use and free application for your tabletop role-playing campaigns? MasterScreen is the ultimate set of tools for running tabletop or online role-playing campaigns and managing intricate fictional worlds as well. This incredible browser application can run on any device and also works offline, so you can edit your files basically everywhere. This awesome campaign manager allows you to level up your notes and organization, so you have to spend less time in your notes and more time in the action of your games. The focus on the simple yet beautiful design makes for great and intuitive use for every tabletop role-playing game, and as time goes on there will be even more features to create a one-stop get-all for game masters wanting to level up their game. And remember, all of that is for the low price of free and requires no downloads. So go to masterscreen.app to start becoming the master behind the screen you were meant to be. You can find the link in the description. So Niels, currently or a few weeks ago, at the point of this upload, there's been a discussion about especially metagaming in the TTRPG spaces. Especially for me on Twitter, I've seen a lot of talk about it in recent days, because it's just a thing that happens. Social media discourse goes round and round and round and talks about different stuff. So there was this meme that I think started the whole discussion on Twitter, really, around metagaming. And it's basically 4 pictures. The first 2 pictures are Jon Snow from Game of Thrones, and it's the same picture. And it reads a down PC at 0 HP and a dead PC, meaning that both of these PCs look exactly the same. And then another 2 pictures explaining something like, reading the text from the meme is, an enemy that continuously attacks A versus B, the down PC at 0 HP versus the dead PC, especially in an ongoing battle, has an innate knowledge of game mechanics, based its decision on such, and is thus metagaming. An enemy that continuously attacks both is not metagaming. It is either a frenzied psychopath, a hungry beast, or a blender. So, right, it's a meme, it's for fun. That we even over-explain it right here already defeats the point of the meme. Because it's haha, laugh, give a like, retweet it, done. That's what I did. I looked at the meme, I liked it, I retweeted it, and that's all there was to it for me. It's a normal meme. I don't really care. But with the time it went live, which was same as episode 33 of Critical Role, was not necessarily coincidental, but it happened nonetheless, where Matthew Mercer downed and continuously attacked these downed PCs in a battle with the major antagonist of the story. Now, Niels, after hearing all that, seeing some of the discourse for yourself, what is your opinion on that all?
I think it's heavily put it's bullshit because
coming out swinging.
Yeah, exactly. At some point I have to start.
Yeah.
But especially regarding the meme with the dead Jon Snow and option A and B, it's not the fucking same. You see if someone is still holding on barely versus a fucking corpse. There is a visible, noticeable difference.
Yeah.
These two options don't look the fucking same.
Yeah. And I'm very happy that I've never seen a dead body or an unconscious body. There is a difference.
Yeah. So this whole thing is kind of bullshit because it isn't the same fucking option.
Right? The thing is, especially if you're a trained combatant, you know the difference between someone just lying on the floor and someone dead. And even trained people sometimes can't tell for someone that is dead. I won't lie that some people might make mistakes, but talking about these mistakes, right, won't do us any good in this discussion. In my opinion, we can just assume that someone that has trained martial arts or is a trained combatant knows the difference between someone lying on the floor still living because they're breathing, because they're maybe even moving, right? The thing is, they might still be moving, and a dead corpse that is unable to move because there isn't any motor functions anymore in that body.
Exactly.
Because the heart, the brain, or whatever else has stopped working. It's unable to move because it's a corpse. Except maybe it's an undead, but that is, again, besides the point, kind of. But generally, it's not the same. So they're not necessarily metagaming.
Yeah.
But I can see the discussion around it still. It's still an interesting discussion, especially considering a follow-up on the same point. If both bodies are the same, if you are the person that says both bodies are the same, then I sure hope that your cleric also casts healing spells on a dead PC. Because if they're the same, they might still be alive.
Exactly.
So please, also, if you think that the DM is metagaming when their characters are hitting your down PC while they should look dead, then please, your cleric should also heal the dead PC with a healing spell that won't do any good because they're dead. If you do that, I don't have a problem with saying a down PC at 0 HP looks like a dead PC as well. That's just the flip side of it. And then suddenly a lot of people would go, well, no, that isn't how it works. Well, that's a double standard.
Exactly. It's all about consistency. This is the point where it becomes metagaming or the bad kind of metagaming or not.
Yeah.
Because if you're consistent with your things, if you're cleric or whatever healing things you do also apply to dead PCs because they fucking look the same, and then the DM can stab whoever and still make them fail death saves, that's completely fine. But on the other hand, if your healing characters don't heal dead people because they look the same, so doesn't the DM.
Yeah.
Because, right, you have to have a consistency in that. If you're consistent with both things, completely fine. Either way.
Right, it works completely. One of the fun things is I think this whole discussion around this kind of misses some points, but we will get to those in a bit. But one of the fun things is that a lot of people talked about world building in this instance. For example, Mappy, Maps and Quest. We've had him on our episodes. Great guy. Made a Twitter thread about this that I agree with, but also don't. Because in my opinion, it missed the point of the discussion for me. Maybe not for him, right? But he made a point that this is a world building question. A lot of things, let's say every humanoid or every trained humanoid, not necessarily every bandit, but maybe every bandit captain, every big antagonist is able to make death saves. They would understand death saves in a world building sense. People might suffer deadly wounds, but still be clinging onto life for a few seconds longer. Or maybe even miraculously survive that. If that not only happens for the PCs, and the antagonist you have that where you want to attack the downed PCs, wants to attack these downed PCs, and they've encountered creatures before that have death saves, they would know to attack a downed person further. And I agree with that. But in my world, in my game, only the PCs can do death saves.
Yeah, same for me.
That's how I play it. That's how I do it. That's how we agree to it. And there's a few reasons for that I can go into. But the thing is, it's a completely world-building thing. How accessible is healing magic or revivification magic? Because if you know that healing magic is a thing, you might know how that to attack a downed person longer because you know they can be raised again or they can be healed and you don't want this threat to be healed again. So yeah, it's a world building discussion, but it kind of misses the metagaming discussion that is actually it's a world building discussion for sure, but it misses the metagaming question of it because it's still not metagaming for me if in your world that isn't how it works. In my world, healing magic is widely available. So it's okay to say I will finish off an enemy so they do not get healed and become another threat to me. One of the things is, right, in one of my boss battles, one of my players got downed and the enemy my players had knew about healing magic, was able to cast it himself, and has seen that the players can do it. So their quest now was, after the downed PC, to remove that downed PC from the combat entirely. And they did that by pushing him off the platform they were fighting on. Gone. Or well, it was brought back by the others, but doesn't matter in this instance. But they knew this person while they were downed and by the discussion dead, but they had death saves, right? So they knew I want to push them away. And this decision was made from a world building standpoint. They knew that the players could raise him again. Okay, this decision was made from many different standpoints. The world building point, they knew healing magic existed and worked this way. Second of all, a metagaming standpoint. I'm gonna be fucking honest. I agreed with my players that this isn't metagaming necessarily for us. That I do not pull punches in a specific boss combat for them. I won't let my wolves and bandits attack a downed PC, because if that's the case, it's very, very, very easy to kill a downed PC. Because you only need 2 strikes against them in melee range. Dead. As soon as you reach level 5 as a group, most enemies have a multi-attack anyway. So it's very easy if you do it. So, but in a specific boss combat, all bets are off. I will pull no punches. I will kill you if I get the chance to.
Yeah, I think it's a highly circumstantial thing to talk about.
Yeah.
Because for at least in my opinion, a lot of the thing comes down to experience from the NPC. Like you said, your boss knew there was healing magic and they knew your players could fucking do it. So they want to remove a threat. Because if you ignore that downed, in quotation marks, dead PC, and then it comes back to bite you in your fucking ass, you don't want that. You want, or especially very intelligent enemies might think so as well. So if your enemy knows that, or has seen it happen, especially in the same fucking combat, that if you down one and then move on to the next, they can get up and still fight and are still a threat, they will make sure that this thing isn't a threat anymore. Because everyone has a sense of self-preservation. So does the enemy. They don't just kill the players to kill the players, especially in tough and very close situations like the end of a campaign battle. They want to make sure they win. So they remove every threat that they can to help them win. If it is killing a downed PC because they see it, and in my world also only players get death saves because I like the power fantasy and I want them to be special.
Yeah, that's the same thing for me, right?
Exactly. They are the protagonists of the story and they are special. They are a special thing in the world because everything else is just there and controlled by me and blah and all of that.
Somehow they are able to save the world from something no one else in the world can save the world from.
Exactly. And that's why I only give my player characters the death saves because it gives them a unique ability that no one else in the world has. At least at that point.
And the same thing is, right, I even elevate that feeling through other homebrew rules that I add to the game. Because that's the feeling I want from my D&D games. Or at least most of my D&D games. Because I want my D&D games to be epic hero fantasies. I don't want them to just be normal fantasy games. They should be the heroes. They should be saving people. They should fight dragons and save the lands and some stuff like that. That's what I want from D&D. And that's what I make D&D for me do. So, right, the thing is, no matter what we do, either we accept it, it's a metagaming discussion, or we accept the attacking a downed PC at 0 hit points as metagaming, or we say it's not metagaming. The outcome doesn't change for me.
Exactly.
I would still do it the way I do it. I don't care if people call it metagaming, because, hot take apparently, metagaming isn't always bad.
Most definitely not.
From each standpoint of the game. We can get to that in a bit, but right, I wanted to talk a bit about the Critical Role whole thing, right? This metagaming discussion flared up at the same time as Critical Role had one of its most dramatic, bloody episodes ever. Critical Role spoilers ahead now for the next, let's say, 3 to 5 minutes. If you still haven't listened or watched the newest episodes of Critical Role, I urge you to skip this part, but we will talk about the metagaming, in quotation marks, done in that. So, now that everyone has skipped away or stayed to listen, Matthew Mercer played Otohan, one of the antagonists, or the main antagonist currently of Imogen's backstory, of Imogen's story in the game. Otohan fought the Bell's Hells, and when Orym went down and I think got healed and stood up again, Otohan or Matthew Mercer said something. I don't know what he exactly said, but it was basically along the lines of, okay, I will now attack people on death saves. So first of all, perfectly done from a game master standpoint. Matthew Mercer didn't attack the PCs on death saves before, so that's good. And then he signified his players that that is now the case. If his players listen to it or not is not his concern. As a dungeon master, he did everything he should, and actually even more than he should, to even up the ante mid-combat. He made it a roleplay moment. He made it clear to his players, or at least I clocked it as that being the case, that he would now do that with this character. And then Otohan, she did do that. That it happened. Otohan did attack Orym and Fern and Laudna on death saves, or made them go into death saves and then slashed into them.
Yeah, and I think with exactly that, with Otohan saying that they are now attacking downed NPCs, this completely throws this meta discussion out of the window, because it isn't meta anymore. Like we said, Otohan acted on the information they got during the combat.
Yeah.
They downed one, ignored him after that, and moved on. But this guy stood back up, and now he's a threat again. Now they know, remove the fucking threats. And that's what they did.
Yeah, and it also made more sense because Otohan knew or wanted Imogen to release their storm or give into their nature. And they knew they could do that through emotion, pent-up aggression. What is the best aggressor you can do to someone is killing their friends on the battlefield.
Yeah.
That works wonders. It did work wonders. Exactly what they wanted happened. Or at least Imogen went into the direction Otohan wanted Imogen to go. So the thing is, Matthew Mercer, while some people were very upset with what Matthew Mercer did, and I can understand the frustration of your favorite player character in a game of D&D livestream dying. I get it. I am very sad that my favorite character is currently dead in the game. I am sad about that, but it's a game. The people at the table are enjoying themselves still. The thing is, I saw discussions about how the players didn't have agency in this combat, how Matthew Mercer struck down every plan they made, and how he wanted them to die. All three things I can answer you truthfully with no. He gave them agency. The players just weren't coordinated enough to act on their agency. It was an unfortunate combat, I will not lie, but it wasn't unfair.
Yeah, but that's the thing in TTRPGs. There's still always chance involved, because it's based on dice rolls. No matter how good your plan is, if you fail dice roll after dice roll after dice roll, not saying there was a single point of failure, because if you fail one dice roll after another all the fucking time, because it can happen, because of shit luck, it's a game of chance, then no matter how good your plan is, no matter how much agency you have, you are gonna fail.
Yeah, right, that's the thing. I talked about flawless plans recently, or not even recently on Twitter, but at some point on Twitter, and it was, I am of a complete conviction that no matter how flawless your plan is, if there are no dice rolls involved, the plan isn't any fun to play.
Exactly.
Because I play TTRPGs to have fun with my friends, role-playing characters, going against the most important enemy of all, chance.
Yeah.
I want to roll dice. That doesn't mean that I just want to roll dice. I want to roll meaningful dice. And in a plan that I make, I want to roll dice. Because if I don't, it can feel accomplishing at first. But at the same time, it doesn't feel accomplishing in the sense of a TTRPG at all.
Exactly.
So even a flawless plan still can fail when the dice have a say in it. And I think dice should have a say in everything we do in TTRPGs, because if not, we do not have to play the action out. Because we know how it ends. Obviously, that doesn't mean you should roll dice for everything. Minimize dice at the specific points where you don't need them. I don't want my TTRPGs to become just dice marathons. But at specific crucial points, I want the chance of the game's inherent design involved in it. Pulling from a tarot deck could also be a thing. That's also a game of chance. And that's the thing. These games are fun because of the chance involved.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, if you have a plan where nothing can go wrong, where's the thrill in that? You want, or at least I want when I play and I make a plan that sounds good, sounds awesome, but if there is a possibility where shit can hit the fan, this moment becomes so fucking thrilling because everyone is watching this piece of plastic roll on a fucking side and scream at it if it's the right or the wrong side of the die.
Yeah, right.
And the most memorable moments that I had as a player and as a dungeon master is when we all were just enthralled by this rolling piece of plastic and we couldn't look away. We were just enticed by this rolling thing, and these few seconds where it kept spinning and spinning were the most thrilling that were ever there in any TTRPG that I played, because it was exciting. We didn't know what the fucking outcome was. It could make or break our plan, and then we have to move on with our usual plan. That would be good. Or have to think on our toes to get out of it. And this also is a lot of fun because chance, because randomness. Shit can hit the fan every time. And yeah, TTRPGs are a game of chance, so I think that's needed for the thrill and the excitement of the whole game itself. And I think you can say that this whole thing is also a meta thing. It's also metagaming because you are engaging with the game itself other than, or you as a player engage with the game.
Yeah.
And not just the characters.
Yeah.
And that is also metagaming.
Yeah.
Not the bad kind. Most definitely not, because it's exciting as hell.
Yeah. I mean, metagaming gets a bad rap all around, in my opinion. It's always this, it destroys the fun at the table and all of that stuff, but
I don't think it does.
The problem isn't that metagaming itself destroys the fun, it's that the outcomes of metagaming can destroy fun. I know this sounds like splitting hairs, but it isn't, because metagaming itself isn't always bad, right? The thing is, to the thread that Mappy did that thread about world building, right? And making it not a meta discussion about the death saves and all of that stuff. And I agreed with him, but at the same time I said, well, I don't care if it's metagaming that my antagonists, my main antagonists, where I want to up the ante of the game a little bit even more by focusing on the feature my players get. I wanted to up where I want to up the ante, focusing on that feature, and it's okay if people call that metagaming for me. I don't care if people say that I metagame a bit, because first of all, it's literally only a smokescreen, right? It doesn't tangent me at all because I'm playing a game and I'm having fun. So everything these people say hits a wall because I'm having fun with my friends the way we want to.
Exactly.
But still, we are a discussion podcast, we are a talk show podcast, so we should talk a little bit more about metagaming. So first of all, let me put something out right away. If you're a person and you've been shocked by what people call metagaming on the internet and are second guessing yourself or thinking about if your playstyle is metagaming and if you should weigh in on these discussions, fuck the noise. If you're having fun, metagaming isn't bad.
Exactly.
But metagaming can destroy the fun if it goes unchecked in some regards. Not all, but in some regards it goes unchecked. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Yeah, metagaming itself isn't inherently evil as the internet makes it out to be.
Yeah.
Because I think you can't eliminate metagaming at all, because you're still rolling dice. You're still engaging with the mechanics of the game, and that still is metagaming, at least in my book.
Right, the thing is, you're a player around a table with your friends.
Yeah.
You're playing a game. You're still metagaming because you're the person sitting around the table. You're not actually the person in the game.
Yeah, and for example, if you sit in front of a door that is locked, you have options to get through that door. The first option usually is, hey, let the rogue pick the lock. But how do you decide that? You say, hey, our rogue can pick locks. We know that our rogue can pick locks. The rogue has thieves' tools. Is that a meta discussion? I think so, yes. Is it a bad meta discussion? No, because these two conversations aren't connected, but still are.
Right, the thing is, if in the game the rogue has done it a lot of times, you could say, yeah, well, we know they can because the character did it already. And yeah, but what about the first time?
Exactly.
Right? What about the first time? They still have to say, I have the thieves' tools, I can do it in the game. But even if you're at the table and you all approach a door and you're the wizard and look at the rogue player and say, can you pry open the door or something? That doesn't necessarily have to be an in-game discussion. It can be you saying, you have the best stat for that, please go do it.
Exactly. And not every discussion you have at your table as players is the same fucking way in-game. Your characters talk differently than your players do. And I mean, you don't have to roleplay out every fucking thing your character says, because you can just abstract that. The thing is, your players say, well, you are the rogue, you have thieves tools, right? Can you pick the lock? Yeah, sure. And in-game, they might discuss about their backstory or their abilities and intertwine that a bit more, but just cut that short, because it's an abstract conversation to have. You can just do that quicker and more, and therefore keep the fun longer, depending on what type of game you want to play and all. But it's an abstract conversation. They are not the same, but have still the same topic and the same outcome.
Yeah, and that abstraction happens naturally by the nature of playing a TTRPG.
Exactly.
I want to remind everyone, you're a person playing a game, either as a dungeon master or player, or as a game master or as a player, sitting around a table with sheets of paper or a tablet in front of you, imagining a fantasy world or a cyberpunk world or whatever type of world, where you tell a story with your friends about imaginary characters that you control with the stats on the paper in front of you. TTRPGs are an inherently weird concept and medium. And I've played them already in high school. And a lot of my not so close friends knew about it in high school. And they always said, that is weird. Where is the fun in that? And that type of stuff, right? It's so hard to explain TTRPGs to someone because the concept itself just doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
Until you play it.
Yeah.
Right? You can say, well, it's improv, but with dice attached. And then someone goes, why a dice? Or why improv? Why don't I just play a dice game? Or why don't I just go to improv theater? And it doesn't matter to explain it to them. It just doesn't matter. TTRPGs are something you need to experience.
Yeah.
To understand how they go. Because every time I talk to someone about TTRPGs that hasn't played, they go to the first reaction is, that's weird. That's fun, right? And I get those questions. Those questions aren't meant in malice. They are meant in confusion. They cannot grasp how this works. Because no one can unless they have played.
Exactly.
Right? Stranger Things has, in its 4th season, one of the best explanations of how TTRPGs go. And that is because they are sitting around the table, having an in-game discussion, and then one of them rolls a dice, and everyone at the table is in silence, looking at this dice fall in slow motion to the right number. And that is exactly also what we talked about with why the dice are so enticing, and why you shouldn't eliminate dice from a dice game. Sure, if your TTRPG doesn't use dice, but any other resolution mechanics, use those, obviously. But if it's dice, don't think that a flawless plan shouldn't use dice, because that moment you saw in Stranger Things would be lost, and you don't want to lose that moment. And when I tell someone, a friend of mine recently wanted to introduce a few new players to TTRPGs, and they wanted me to give them some tips they should just send to the players about TTRPGs so they can prepare themselves mentally. And I said, maybe you heard about this game from Community or Stranger Things or any other TV series, Big Bang Theory, whatever. It's nothing like those series, but they all catch a different vibe you can have in the games.
Yeah.
Just go with the expectations that nothing will make sense to you in the first place. One interesting thing is that what I always remember since then is the Katiosaurus interview on Reckless Talk with Nathan from Reckless Attack, where Katie said that TTRPGs are such a weird concept, and she constantly breaks the fourth wall in it and makes remarks at the table on something like that. And that's exactly what I'm talking about here. It's such a weird concept that I just can't even stop myself from making jokes at the table that are not made in game.
Yeah, why should you? It's amazing. It's
right?
It's hard to grasp, but it's an amazing feeling.
I'm playing a video game with a movie feeling, with a book story, while being an actor.
Yeah, and while having the thrill of games of chance at the same time.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense at all, even to those that played it. And those that say it makes sense to them are lying.
Exactly.
No, I'm not saying that people are lying that say they understand TTRPGs, because obviously we all do, because they're very simple to understand.
Yeah, but just hard to explain. And I think everyone listening to this podcast knows what we are talking about right here.
How would you explain to someone what a book is if they've never had a book in their hands?
Yeah.
And that's the same for TTRPGs. They're a completely different storytelling medium than anything else, and you can't explain them by, it's a book, but you're the character. Because that's kind of true, but it's also a game, and you're the character.
Yeah, and it's also a movie, but you are also the environment. And also the soundtrack. And it's a weird combination, but it's so fucking awesome. And I'm glad I fell in this rabbit hole and I am now here stuck. I love it.
Yeah, right. But coming back to metagaming, and this, because TTRPGs are so weird, I would say most instances of metagaming aren't bad, because they're most of the time people losing themselves in the game or playing the game in an abstract way that just is meant to resolve something quicker, or where they abstract the in-game discussions because for table fun, because that is the main thing we want to have, fun.
Exactly.
And sometimes it isn't fun to talk about which character is now able to pick the lock in character. Someone just says, I am the rogue, I can pick locks, and everyone says, oh cool, pick lock please.
Exactly. And one thing that I love is when metagaming happens naturally, because you can't erase information out of people's minds, is especially with veteran players or more experienced players.
Yeah.
They know nearly every monster and every enemy, whatever. And you just describe the tracks and blah, and it's all a mystery. And then you describe the monster when they on the big showdown or just before that, and then you drop the name of the monster, and then your players know what the fuck this monster can do and are scared, are excited, are whatever the fuck the feeling they feel, because they know the fucking monster. As long as the players can abstract that you as a player know the information and not the character. And when this abstraction becomes blurred, this is where it can be problematic.
Yeah.
Because then you know, oh, yeah, this thing is vulnerable to fire. And how exactly do you know that? Because a past character of yours encountered this monster before. Okay, but your character doesn't know that. And this is the thing we talked about with bad metagaming, is acting on information you just simply do not have as a character. You as a player playing your character with information you do not have, or your character does not have. This is the instance of bad metagaming, if you might say so.
One of the funny things is if a DM goes, are you sure? Right? The DM knows what's going to happen if the player touches the incredibly dangerous magic artifact. And you as the DM shouldn't go, are you sure, if you don't like metagaming? Because are you sure is inherently a metagaming question, because the player told you what they want to do.
Exactly.
Asking them to clarify, to say it again, to confirm it, is a metagaming question as a DM, if you want to put it like that. And I still like using that question. I know some people don't like using that question because it's exactly that. It's a hint to your players that you shouldn't give. And I don't necessarily give it as a hint. I just clarify the stuff for me. I've described to you that this thing is dangerous, and you still want to touch it? Yes. Okay, cool. Do it. Yeah. I don't care. You said you want to do it. I just wanted you to think about it again, because I, as a DM, think your character would second guess themselves on touching it. And then the player can say, no, my character wouldn't. Let them do it. I will say, okay, cool, do it. But that's an inherently metagaming thing.
Exactly.
So, it's a thing.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that the question, are you sure, is a bad question to ask for a DM, because it's just clarifying what is happening. Because, right, you as a DM want to get the information right. You want to get the situation right. You want to know they are really touching the thing. They are really engaging with the thing in the way that I have described here on my notes, where it says if they touch it, they die, or whatever, right?
Yeah, and it's a way for this question is a way for you to be assured in the actions your players want to take. So they can't weasel their way out of saying, I touched it, but I didn't touch it with my bare hands. So it's just to clarify and more specify the ways that your character does that, to have a more consistent play, to have a more consistent outcome of your own actions, and a way to ensure that your characters have to deal with the outcomes of their actions.
Yeah, metagaming generally is described as acting on information you don't have. That can be the game information, like the character sheet. I have 25 of 50 hit points. I'm exactly at half HP. Saying that to the cleric when they ask how is everyone doing is literally a metagaming discussion. But I do not necessarily think that that's bad. I think that that's giving away the information in an abstract way, where one of the players says, well, I have a big wound. Can you heal it, please? I have enough hit points missing so that your healing spell will get its full effect on me. Because if a player only misses 3 hit points and my healing spell on average heals 10. That's 7 hit points on average, kinda wasted in quotation marks. Now, if your cleric is the type of person to always heal people to full HP, because that's what they do, they always care for people, even with the smallest bruises, then do that, because that's a cool character trait. But you do not have to.
Exactly.
So that's the thing. So yeah, accurate information. And yeah, it's not always bad. We said that, right? It can even, in my opinion, it can even enhance a game. a campaign.
Oh, yeah.
If you act on the information that you do not have, if you control how it affects your actions, in my opinion. If you control it in the right way, it works. Because the veteran GM, knowing that they are fighting a dragon, that the dragon has frightful presence, could play that their character is always a little scared of this dragon because they have the frightful presence. Right? It's dragon. They are scary. They are supposed to be this big, scary monster that no one can fight. Even though you know the game stats, you know that they have a feature called Frightful Presence and that they can use that on their turn to incite fear in someone, on everyone in the range. But maybe that feature only is overwhelming fear. Maybe you're still scared without the feature being active on you right now.
Yeah.
But you only know that if you know the dragon has a Frightful Presence feature. So that metagaming in this instance actually enhances your roleplay. Now we've made everyone mad about saying metagaming can actually enhance the game.
Yeah.
Boom. No, but really, right? The thing is, I think the biggest thing about metagaming is it needs to be controlled in some way. And it's okay to sometimes as a DM go, hey guys, that's metagaming. Please don't do that. Or that's too much of it. Because I as a DM, I am very lenient on what is metagaming and not, or what I let slip as metagaming. Because if my players metagame a bit, talk about their stats basically all day, I have no problem with that. Because I can say we abstracted that in the game that you guys talked about your training and your experience and all of that stuff. But if one of them goes, the monster can only deal this much damage to everyone, so you're fine, I don't need to heal you, then I will say, that's borderline for me. Maybe it works if your character has a big history with that with dragons, or it happened before in the game or something like that, but that's borderline for me.
Yeah.
That's where I would say,
That depends heavily on the situation.
That's where I would go, please refrain from doing that again. Because while, yes, in a game sense, you might know that as a player, your character wouldn't know that the fire dragon can only deal 86 damage with its fire.
Yeah, this is... It's again, like we always say, if those things usually don't happen planned, as at least if you're playing in good faith.
Yeah.
As long as all of you play in good faith and all want to have fun, it's okay to slip up once in a while. It's completely natural. We all do it. At least I do. I can't speak for you, but if we let ourselves go and just enjoy ourselves, we don't always think about everything we say, if it's metagaming or not, or if it's what my character would do or not. It just happens. And it's totally fine. If you're all playing in good faith and no one is upset when the GM says, hey, maybe not something like that. If you don't get mad at this statement and want to kill your GM over this, it's totally fine. Just, hey, it happened. All good. It was a slip up. Won't happen again. Or it might happen again. Who cares? As long as it's not, I'm purposefully using the information that I didn't get as a character because I listened to the scene of two other characters. Then it's totally fine. At least in my opinion.
Yeah, it's totally fine in most cases because, right, most people that metagame on accident, they catch themselves most of the time. Because they question their action. Okay, I'm doing this, but why do I do this? Wait, no, sorry, I don't even know that action. Sorry, let me go back and do it again.
Exactly.
Right, that's the thing. And one of the things is, this might sound weird, but if you are metagaming for whatever reason, and I'm talking about the good part of it, acting on stats or something, talking about gameplay, you can make it in a not so blatant way in game as well, right? The thing is about, I have half hit points, right? You can say to your cleric player, hey, I have hit points, can you heal me? And my character in game says, I have this very big cleaving wound in my arm. Could you please help me? That's the best of both worlds, because the cleric player knows they can and should use their healing spell on you because it would be very well invested, more or less, talking in the game economy sense. And in game, you even signified the missing HP in a way that allows the other player to use their character to engage in a meaningful way. Then the other player can go with their character, oh, that looks bad. Please, come here, let me help you. And boom, you have had a roleplay moment in that instant. And then you can initiate talking, a conversation with each other that then can be completely roleplay. But you needed the metagame knowledge that you are half HP for that.
Yeah, and this is, again, like we said, a way metagaming can enhance the game. Because you quickly and leniently put out the information to the cleric that they need, that everyone at the table needs. Okay, I'm half HP. And then you can use that information, that meta information about you have half HP, to create a descriptive thing out of it and create a role-playing moment out of it.
Right, the thing is here for me, especially D&D. Let's take D&D 5e, for example, in this instance, because it does that exactly. You have half hit points. So you're basically only at half combat strength or whatever. necessarily, or have combat, engage durability, whatever you want to call it. D&D doesn't have a system that says you how injured you are, because you aren't injured in the game sense, right? You might have only half HP, but that doesn't mean anything, because D&D doesn't have any penalties to your gameplay if you are at half HP. That's why I, for example, to add to D&D, that when you go down to 0 hit points and get raised up again, you get a level of exhaustion, because that signifies that you've been in combat and are feeling shit.
Exactly.
For example, another system, the Dark Eye, has pain. When you lose 1/4 of your HP, you get 1 pain. That's a negative modifier of 1 to every roll you make. At half, you get 2. At 3/4, you get 3. And if you're at 5 HP or less, you're unconscious.
Yeah.
If you go below 0, you're dying. But 0 to 5, you're still just unconscious. You will survive, but you're unconscious from the pain. So that's the thing. There it signifies, in a game sense mechanic, that your character is actually in pain.
Yeah.
Because in D&D, if I'm at half HP, in the game sense, I am not in pain.
Exactly.
So it's actually metagaming if you play that you have an open, big wound that is, I don't know, at your arm, and you can't use your arm that well anymore until you're healed. That's more metagaming, right? Right? Because you're acting more on the half HP than is actually expected from you from the game. So if you engage with the meta stats that you have 25 or 50 HP and say that means that your arm isn't as functional anymore, that's an enhancement of roleplay for me. But that only happens because of meta knowledge of stats.
Exactly.
From the pure game's perspective, that character doesn't have a wound that is actually hindering them at all. They don't have that wound. They might have a wound, but it can't hinder them. So the next time you encounter the word metagaming, I think the biggest thing about this discussion is don't think too much on it. It's fine most of the time. And the bad metagamings are will be dealt with in a very simple way at the table by the DM going, hey, please don't do that, right? If you as a DM encounter metagaming that you think will destroy the gaming experience for someone at your table, speak up and say, and use your DM authority to say, stop it. Wow, that works? What? Oh no.
Yeah. Talking to your players in a social game? Oh, that works? Who could have guessed that, right? It's like we were saying that for 87 episodes now. Talk to your players and all will be fine.
But yeah, right, metagaming, right? This episode is titled Why Metagaming Isn't Bad, and I hope we have explained to people why metagaming isn't bad. It can be bad, I'm not gonna lie, but in 95% of the times, it's probably overreaction to it when someone says metagaming is bad, because it isn't.
Yeah, don't get scared of the word metagaming and keep an open mind when you encounter metagaming. Talk to your players and everything will be fine.
And please do metagame a bit. I have no problem with someone metagaming it because we're still playing a game. That's my main point. We're playing a game. I do not have a problem if you engage with the game stats in the way that you can by talking about them. It's okay to say I have a +8 to athletics. That's why I should be the one doing the athletics tasks. It's okay to do that. Because nothing will be lost when you do it. Sure, suspense might be lost if someone acts on information they shouldn't have. Especially if some NPCs have discussed a secret between each other, and one of the characters has been listening in on that discussion with the secrets, and another is in that moment acting on that information that they couldn't possibly have. Yes, bad. But that's obviously bad. And everyone can see why that's bad. But most of the time, that's not necessarily what metagaming is talked about. Right? The death save discussion, for example. I don't fucking care if you attack a down PC at 0 hit points or not. It's not metagaming, in my opinion, to do it because most people should be able to tell, especially if they're trained. Second of all, world building is still there to catch everything for you if you want to. And third of all, even if you don't, metagaming is fine in this instance. You want to up the ante for your players? Hey, attack them on death saves, and the ante is upped. Your players are gonna be more scared. They're gonna be more vigilant of this enemy doing that. Oh, what a problem. Oh yeah, right, it isn't.
Yeah, and I think I don't have anything else to add.
Yeah, okay, if you don't.
Well, we could talk for ages and ages and ages.
Yeah.
But I think our why metagaming isn't bad discussion is okay where it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have anything else to add,
I don't have anything else to add now.
Then you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at DoubleDMPod, or visit our website at www.doubledm.com. We also have a Ko-Fi if you would like to check that out. And please, if you like this show, give us a review on iTunes, Spotify, whatever podcasting listening platform of your choice. We really appreciate it. And with that, thanks for listening. See you on the next one, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.